I was a strong-willed child. I mean, actually, I'm still a really strong-willed person. But the difference now is I don't argue with people anymore. I don't feel like I have to be right all of the time. So how did I change? That's what this video is about. We're gonna talk about my story, how I changed, and 6 tips for how to get a strong-willed child to listen. Yes, I was strong-willed. In fact, I am pretty sure that I gave my parents all of their gray hairs. They were probably praying every night, what do we do with this child? All she ever does is talk back, and she argues with us. One time I even hit my own parents. That is not something that I am proud of. I was definitely strong-willed, and I didn't really want to hear what they had to say so long as they were manipulating me. So what does strong-willed even mean? Strong-willed is the desire of a person to push themselves in the direction that they feel like is true. That's a key piece for strong-willed people. They have to be the one who is following the truth, or who is right. That's why they become obsessed with the fact that they're right. They think they've found the truth, and so they will not depart from it once they find it. This can make them a little closed-minded sometimes, and maybe even a little bit oppositional to other truths that they really need to know. So when I was a teenager, I needed a vital truth. This truth that I needed was that I had control over my own relationships more than I ever thought I did. I felt like everything my parents were doing were just attacks on me, that they were doing things to me, so then I had to do things to them. It was very much the classic power struggle. That was a lie. They weren't trying to do things to me most of the time. Probably sometimes they were, because I probably pushed them to that place. They wanted to teach me. They wanted me to grow. They wanted me to find more truth. Yet I thought that they were just controlling me, and that was the only truth that I could see. It wasn't until a good friend of mine told me a couple of truths about myself, and they changed my life, that I realized I had been missing vital truths and needed to pay more attention. I had a friend who liked to speak the truth to me. Most of the time we got along. Sometimes I didn't like what she had to say. But one day she confronted me about a lying problem that I had. And she said, "You know, Nicholeen, we all know you're a liar. None of us believe a thing you say. You should choose to tell the truth." And then she walked away from me. And my strong-willed nature had a desire to conquer that problem. I knew that my friends didn't even respect me at all. They didn't want to be with me. Well, she respected me enough to tell me that one truth. But I was so glad she did, because at that point I realized, here I've been thinking a whole different way about these relationships with friends. And I'm ruining my relationships instead of helping them. I decided to create a skill set for myself for how to tell the truth. She corrected me just by telling me one vital truth in a way that I needed to hear it, with pure honesty, respect, and love. Oftentimes we lecture to our children, we yell at our children to try to break into their wall, to try to get them to see our way. But that's not the way truth is delivered. It's very different. Manipulation does not work. My parents tried emotional tricks, and they tried intimidation to make me feel afraid of them. And none of that was truth to me. It all felt like lies and controlling. And a strong-willed person is looking for the truth. When you feel the truth, you know it's true. There's just something that touches you deep inside where you say, yes, that resonates with me. That's true. That's what I was waiting for from my parents, and it didn't come until I changed myself. Here are 6 tips for how to get a strong-willed child to listen. Number 1, use description, not reaction. So when you are correcting someone, you need to be describing what happened and what should have happened and not reacting. Reacting is a classic mistake because some of us have trained ourselves to react. And we have to overcome that in the moment of helping a person overcome their problem. I've trained myself to describe by using a trigger phrase. My trigger phrase is just now. So I will say, when something happens in my head, something happened. Describe. And then I say, just now, I gave you a no answer, that you couldn't go back outside to play. You looked at me. You kept a calm face, voice, and body. And you said, okay, but then you went out there anyway, which means you didn't drop the subject. Those are the 4 steps to accepting a no answer. So I would describe what they did well and what they didn't do. And then I would say what you should have done was you should have dropped the subject, which means that you shouldn't have thought about it again and again. You shouldn't have gone outside. You should have found something else to do or asked me what other thing you could do. So you see how this describing stops anything like, you never listened to me. Here it is again. I told you you couldn't go outside. You said you wouldn't, and now you did. Those are emotional reaction statements. Even if they're describing a little bit, they feel manipulative, they feel judgmental, and the child will not respond, especially if they're strong-willed. Step number 2, be calm. If the parent is calm, it allows the truth to speak. I hope you could see that in my last example. When I was just describing what happened and what should have happened, I was calm. I was understanding, I was supportive, but I was definitely firm at the same time. But in my second example, where I started emotionally reacting and saying, why did you do this again? You always do this, and that kind of thing, I was thinking only of myself, and then I lost my calmness, and then that truth couldn't come through. Plan what your calm voice will be. Plan what your calm face will be, and what your body language will be when you're being calm with other people. Tip number 3 is to have a structure for how you will handle the problems with the children. In our family, we have certain skills. We have 4 basic skills the children learn so that they can learn self-mastery over themselves. As parents, we also use those 4 basic skills, but then we also have 5 parenting skills that we use to teach the children how to fix the problems when they occur. And these skills are all predictable. They're scripted. We decided we didn't like the script that was already in our head that felt a little emotional, and we needed to replace it with a better script. And we tell our children that we will use these all the time. There is one key component to all of these very structured skill sets that we use, and that is they appeal to the logic. When you're correcting a person, you don't want to appeal to their emotions. That is not going to help a strong-willed child listen to you. You have to appeal to their logic. Strong-willed people put a lot of stock into what makes sense. So having skill sets already in place that already make sense make that way easier. So use corrections, use skills, appeal to the logic, and they'll find more truth. Tip number 4, consistency helps a person break a habit. Our brains form pathways. When we do the same behavior again and again, or think the same thought at a certain moment again and again, it forms a rut or a well-worn pathway in our brain. We have to create a new pathway for a person who is strong-willed, who has a habit of not listening. It takes a lot of mental power to form a new problem-solving path in the brain. In order to help the child invest personally in forming a new path in their brain, maybe they don't even want to at first, it's a good idea for parents to have a meeting with their child and to talk to the child about where they see their relationships going, how they can improve their communication to get more of what they want. Appeal a little bit to the selfish interests of the child. Children are selfish by nature, and so sometimes we have to appeal to that selfishness to get them to want to invest. But if you can get them invested with a meeting, and in this meeting you can have a plan, then that child can more consistently stop themselves in the moment from shutting you out and choose to listen instead. So talk about your relationship. What do you want it to be like? How should we understand each other? What does that look like? And then make plans for ways that you can communicate to make that happen, and then follow through. Consistency is key. They have to practice again and again and again. Otherwise, they won't break the habit. Tip number 5, be patient. Don't expect immediate results. Change takes time. To self-govern yourself isn't a quick fix. In fact, I always tell people that about everything I teach. When people learn self-government, it can make sense, but to apply it to their lives regularly can take practice. So once you've made a plan with the child, then allow them to fail from time to time. Still don't take it personally. Coach them in the right direction. They will develop the habit of listening, and the bond will come that you've been looking for. Tip number 6 is you've got to have a plan for what to do if they escalate their tantrum. If they won't listen to you and they are just dead set on it, blah, 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 you can't talk to me, or whatever it is that they do, you have to have a way that you've decided ahead of time for how to handle this problem. In our family, we do something called the rule of 3. This is an intensive teaching parenting skill set that I teach in my implementation course, the Teaching Self-Government implementation course. There are certain phrases that I say in a certain order. I do 3 things 3 times. My children know this format. They know that it means to get calm. They know that it means it's time for everybody to be understood and listen to each other. This is how we solve the biggest of emotional breakdowns or communication problems. They know this. We've decided ahead of time that that's the way that this is going to be. So since it's in place, it's a safety net for everybody, so we just don't fall off the edge and destroy the relationships. Don't you want your children to listen to you because you want a certain type of a relationship? That's usually the reason that we would even go through the work of disciplining a child, so that they will listen to us in the first place. It's possible. Children want to listen to you. Just don't lecture them to death. And they want you to listen to them too, so they need skills like how to disagree appropriately. I have a gift for you. It's called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. This toolkit will give you more tools that you need to reach the heart of that child, to improve your calmness when you are instructing and correcting them, and to improve their calmness too. In the description of this video, there's a link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. Go there. It's free. Get the extra help you need.